What is cracking, fam? I see y'all swarming. I see y'all swarming the chat already. Let's go. And for those who haven't been following along with some of the new news and notes and all that good stuff, we're gonna do what we typically do. Is we're gonna go through the administration, the admin stuff of that came out of today's press conferences, and all that good stuff. One of the things that came out of the press conference today was the new motto for the defense as a whole. We've had all gas, no break. We've had all kinds of stuff before, but today, according to Fred Warner, D'Amico Ryan's defense is swarming. Swarm stands for special work ethic and relentless mindset. Sounds about right with everything that we have going with this defense. Um, so that's going to be a lot of fun as we get into all this good stuff. But let's take care of some of the maybe less fortunate news first. Then we'll transition into the quarterback news that came out of today's press conferences and the team captains. And then once we get through that, we will take a stab at the whole schedule. We'll go down the whole schedule. We'll talk about who we think is going to win and why, and all the ones we're going to lose as well, which you are not going to like me for. And feel free to let me know and bash me upside the head for picking the teams that we're losing to. It was hard, man. It really, really was hard. We see you guys. What's up, Leonardo from Brazil? That's awesome. Rio de Janeiro. We're worldwide, fam. Let's go. Someone's gonna have to send me these Reddit memes because I keep hearing it. I'm not a Reddit guy, so we might need to someone might need to send me some links to that because I've seen a couple tweets about that. I wouldn't mind seeing it. As we get into the work and all that good stuff, if you're new here, thank you so much for joining. I've seen a lot of the people that we normally see. Good to see you guys back. If you can like this video, get this thing juiced up. Let's get more people in here as we get this thing going. That would be greatly appreciated. We thank you in advance. But of course, as always, let's hop right in. I think the most impactful news that has come from Kyle Shanahan's press conference today was regarding Emmanuel Moseley. So, from everything that I've gathered, Emmanuel Moseley is dealing with, I believe, to be a hamstring issue. So, a soft tissue issue. He did not practice today. Kyle Shanahan is hopeful that he practices tomorrow, and that's going to be the big key for Emmanuel Moseley playing against Detroit because he's got to practice to be able to shift his injury designation and all that good stuff. And we know hamstring injuries are nagging. They stick with you. They stay around. Again, the soft tissue, it's no joke. It's no joke. So we got to be very careful with it. But my takeaway, if I had to, put my Kyle Shanahan translator cap on, is I don't think Emmanuel Moseley will be going. That is my pure speculation. Nothing official. Like I said, Kyle wants to wait to see if Emmanuel can practice tomorrow before making any, conclusion if he will play or not. But based on the body language and tone, and just it didn't sound great. It didn't sound great. Again, we saw the move that was made. Josh Norman was signed. So with Emmanuel Moseley, we could be looking already week one down one of our starting cornerbacks, and our cornerback depth will be tested early, right away, week one. If we look at everything and how everything went in training camp, it was a very, very similar situation. Uh, Verrett wasn't participating. Moseley was out with COVID on the COVID reserve list. So we've been through this already all camp in regards to secondary depth, defensive back depth, all that kind of stuff. So with that being said, if Emmanuel Mosley isn't going on Sunday, who's going to be? So you see the jersey behind me. If Emmanuel Mosley cannot go on Sunday, then I think we're going to see Diamador Lenore start his first ever NFL game, and it's going to come week 1. And there's a lot of interesting storylines that come from that because, again, the Detroit Lions have a wide receiver named Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a rookie, who played out of USC. So Diamador and Amon-Ra St. Brown should be very friendly with each other, know each other very well, have the experience in playing each other. I would imagine Diamador would be on Amon-Ra, and then you would take Jason Verrett and put Jason Verrett on Tyrell Williams. So something to watch. Shout out all my fam. Shout out all my protectors out there. We see you. We recognize you. We love you. We see the family always. We appreciate the good vibes. We see you. We see Sean in here. We see the boys. We see you, Peyton. We see you chasing goal. We see all the guys. We see the fam. Appreciate you guys. Got my back yesterday. Love it. So that's the news with Emmanuel Mosley. The other unfortunate kind of injury news to come out of today's press conference is that it appears like Jalen Hurd could be headed for IR. A bit unfortunate news. Apparently, he's still having some issues with his knee. The fact that Kyle Shanahan is bringing it up now, to me, feels like a light, like, it's like, hey, we don't want you guys to be surprised by this news. So he might be going on to IR. He is potentially a candidate for IR. Again, IR rules have changed over the last 3 years dramatically. And if a player is to go on IR right now, they only have to be on IR for 3 weeks. So that's the silver lining. And again, you have Travis Benjamin on the practice squad as a protected practice squad player. So there is a guy there on the practice squad already who would likely slide in. And again, Benjamin offers special teams ability right away. So Benjamin could actually see the field maybe a little sooner than maybe Jalen Hurd would have even seen it because of the special teams side of things. So other than that, those two things, again, it's unfortunate. I think it's par for the course in regards to our thoughts with Jalen Hurd at this point. Obviously, we want to see Jalen Hurd. I know every single one of us wants to see him. I want to see him. You want to see him. Guarantee you, Kyle Shanahan wants to see him as well. And the fact that just can't stay healthy, it's just really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. So those are the two bummers that came from the press conference today regarding injury news and how it may affect us moving towards week 1 against Detroit. But other than that, I think we had some better news. We had some better news come out throughout that press conference. Before we get into that, Trey Lance is throwing today at practice. The big back and forth and hoopla going back and forth all week has been about him not throwing. Of course, we understand he chipped a bone in his finger, his index finger on his throwing hand. That, again, you're not going to throw the ball if you're going to allow that to occur. And yes, I did see Kufasi got let go yet again. And that was in a move to bring in Nathan Gary. Nathan Gary he's one of those hybrid guys, in my opinion, hybrid linebacker / safety. So interesting. Again, interesting moves as we head into the season. But it's good to see Trey Lance throwing again with the injured index finger. Really, really good to see him out there throwing. and going through the motions again. So that's really cool. Uh, breaking news, everyone! Breaking news! Did you guys hear who the starter is? Did you guys hear who the Week 1 starter is? Did you? Did you? Are you gonna hear for the first time the most hotly debated thing in 49ers in the 49ers world since Mac Jones versus versus the field. Um, so it became pretty apparent about 2 weeks ago that it was going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo answered the call. I think it was a true competition heading into camp. Uh, that's how Jimmy viewed it. That's what he said today at the podium. And he and others have credited, including Joe Staley, have credited Jimmy Garoppolo for his response. Jimmy Garoppolo is famous. One of my favorite quotes from Jimmy Garoppolo came a long time ago, years back. I think he might have even been in college at this time, but he said he loves being the underdog and he relishes being the underdog, um, because for a lot of reasons, it takes a lot of pressure off you when you're already when you've already lost the job in the minds of many. What else do you have to lose? So with Jimmy Garoppolo, he came out, he fought all preseason. Uh, During the training camp sessions, Debo Samuel came out today and said, there's just been a different type of Jimmy, the way he's into the huddle, a lot more energy, things like that, which is what you want to see, because as a quarterback of this team, your teammates will respond to your energy. So that's good to see. And of course, it makes it a really easy transition. Trey's a bit dinged up heading into week 1. Jimmy is the no question starter. Sounds good to me. Um, Again, if Jimmy's playing good ball, no one's complaining. No one's worried. No one's upset, because if Jimmy's playing good ball, that means the offense is moving efficiently. We're running the ball. We're picking apart teams with play action. All of those things. YouTube details here. Let's go, my guy. YouTube details here. Let's go. The movement. Follow my guy. Follow my guy. Get his YouTube subs up. Get my guy's YouTube subs up. Um, so if Jimmy Garoppolo is playing good football, no one's complaining. No one's complaining, because that means he's being, like I said, he's being efficient. We're running the football, play action. He's being accurate, all of those things. So no one's complaining, and we're winning games. So that's fine with me. I have no problems with it. And so that's the starting quarterback. The debate, Don. Don, have you heard the news? Don, so you are now officially going to be facing off against Jimmy Garoppolo. Are you scared? Are you shaking in your Detroit Lions woolly boots? How are you feeling, Don? Are you scared of Jimmy G coming in there and smacking the Detroit Lions up? What's the vibe, Don? You tell me. You tell me, Don. So again, and I see some of the comments. One coming from Brian on Facebook. He's saying, what's going to happen when Jimmy gets hit for the first time? I mean, he goes down, then all the haters come out because Lance won't go back to a backup again. I mean, the biggest thing with Jimmy is, again, staying available and being efficient. That's it. If Jimmy Garoppolo is staying healthy and being efficient, the 49ers are winning games. We're going to have that crowd calling for Trey Lance the entire season. We knew that the second they traded up to 3. We knew that was going to occur, whether it was whoever was the starter. So I think we're okay with that heading into this season. And I think it's going to work out great, to be honest, because, again, we were able to keep 2 quarterbacks as a result. That opened up another roster spot for someone else. We were able to put Nate Sudfeld on the practice squad. I'm okay with it. They were, again, one of the biggest things and issues that I potentially had with them keeping Jimmy with Trey was salary cap issues. But The 49ers made it all the way through this offseason, bringing back key pieces, signing additional key pieces, and for the most part, putting this team in a pretty good spot to compete going into this year. So I feel pretty good about it. I'm not upset at all. I think it's great, and I also think it's great how this team is rallied. I think it's great how this team is rallied behind Jimmy. Um, because again, if your entire locker room's rallying behind one of your guys, the quarterbacks, and you start one of the other ones, that's how you mess things up. That's how you mess things up. So it's a fine dance. I don't envy Kyle Shanahan going through all this stuff, man. I really don't. I'm sure he lost a couple years of his life this offseason. These last 8 months, I think Kyle Shanahan might have shaved a year off, maybe 6 months, because that dude's got to be stressing right now, man. He's got to be stressing. So what else happened today in regards to press conference news? Again, we got the starting quarterback. Oh, that's right. How could I forget? We got the 2021 uh, 49ers captains. And I really like this captain list. I really do. I really do. I think there's a couple guys on here that were vindicated with some of these votes. Specifically, Jimmy Ward. He's the longest tenured player on this team, and getting voted the captain for the first time. It has to be. It has to be like a full circle moment for Jimmy Ward, because this fan base has not been easy to Jimmy Ward. This fan base has not been nice to Jimmy Ward at all, especially early on in his career. It took me to be about like 2 years ago, Jimmy, and start to like remove some of the Trent Baalke like baked in PTSD that I had from all his draft selections. Um, Jimmy Ward's had a rough go at this um, from his own fan base. And to see the maturation for Jimmy Ward going from heel, essentially, of his own fan base, because we didn't know what position he played and he was hurt the first couple years, to now being a captain. Couldn't be happier for Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward deserves it. His play the last 2 years, he's really taken and elevated his game to a whole nother level. So I think he's absolutely deserving of being a captain. The other guy that I'm really happy about, really happy about, Raheem Mostert. My Mosterati got the captain. Let's go, fam. This is a guy who's had to fight for absolutely everything his entire career. He's been doubted every step of the way. He's been floated in trade talks. He even requested a trade because they wouldn't even guarantee him like a $2 million contract or something along those lines. Nothing crazy. So this is a guy who's been on 6 to 7 teams, had to make it in this league as a special teamer, and now he's going into a potentially Super Bowl caliber roster as the captain. After the 49ers drafted Trey Sermon and Elijah Mitchell and signed Wayne Gallman and did all kinds of stuff with Jeff Wilson on the roster as well. And of course, this was all prior to Jeff Wilson going down in OTAs. But still, the fact that Mostert got captain is huge. Is big for him. I know it's big for him and everything that he's worked through to get to this point in his career. And again, to see the 49ers draft a young Trey Sermon, Elijah Mitchell, and for the team to just recognize, like, all right, we're going to give that C to Raheem Mostert. He deserves it. I love that. I really do. Captain Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's go. Talk about your team rallying around a quarterback. Talk about your team rallying behind a quarterback. They decided to vote Jimmy Garoppolo as a captain. I think it would have also spoke volumes if they didn't vote him or obviously any of the quarterbacks as captains, but it's a really big indication from the locker room. Again, these captains are voted by the players. It, play, oh, spinning wheel. Uh, Jeez. Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo gets that captain patch. Of course, all pro Fred, Captain Fred. We knew that. Let's go. That's his nickname, damn near. I call him Captain Fred all the time because that's the captain. He's the captain now. Like I would argue, like especially out of this list I'm looking at, I would say Fred Warner is probably might be 1A captain, maybe 1B. It's between him and Kittle. I know Fred Warner, but my captain, you know, just it works. Kittle as well. Kittle's is extremely valuable as the captain of in the top, absolutely well deserving. Good old lag. We're doing good. We were. Then I decided to trip on me. Trent Williams. Trent Williams. So obviously that indicates a change because before the captain's patch was on Mike McGlinchey. And I think at the time it definitely made sense for Mike to be that because he was a young player looking to take that next step forward. Obviously, 2020 was a hard year for Mike. So I don't really have again, I'm one of Mike McGlinchey's biggest supporters and defenders. But I have no problem with this. I really don't. Trent Williams, like I talk about all the time. Um it's Don Burr's fault. It's Don Burr's fault. Oh, I don't want that to come up. This is it. This is why. It's all Don Burr's fault. Blame Don. um with Mike, obviously Mike is going through a transitional period himself. So I don't think Mike would take this any other way. And I think it makes sense because Trent Williams is Trent Williams, man. He's the best left tackle in the entire league. So by default, he's the best offensive lineman on the entire team. It makes sense. He's a veteran. He's 32, 33 years old. Highest paid left tackle in the league. Give him the captain's patch. And I think Mike McGlinchey is 100% understanding. Another guy, the last guy on the list to get the captain's patch, Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead got the captain's patch. I believe it might be his first year. I can't remember if he got it last year or not, but I think it is his first time getting it. Again, another player, another guy who's suffered at the hands of his own fan base. Like him, Eric Armstead, and Jimmy Ward are probably the most. I don't want to say hated. I think hated's a really strong word. The most polarizing first round picks since AJ Jenkins. Obviously, AJ Jenkins was a disaster, but with Eric Armstead, he got drafted, I think, 16th overall, and was kind of a project player coming out of Oregon to be paired with DeForest Buckner. I think there's a lot of like people wanting to compare Eric Armstead to DeForest Buckner, which again puts Eric at a disadvantage. And then just kind of being played out of position. Just being played out of position a lot his first couple years. This fan base didn't like Eric. This fan base didn't like Eric. I will admit, I didn't like Eric. I didn't like the pick. I thought it was a reach. I thought, again, I agreed with the sentiment that Eric Armstead was a project. Um, I didn't like everything that I saw on tape of Eric at Oregon. I wasn't too thrilled with it. I wanted Marcus Peters. If we're gonna go down the if we're gonna go down memory lane, I really wanted Marcus Peters, who I think went the next pick. Um, that's who I was gunning for. So again, I had a lot of issues with Balky, um, that I think spilled over to some of these guys. For me personally, I can only speak for myself personally. But good for Eric. Good for Eric to get that captain's patch. Um, so that's good. Um, all right, let's talk. Should we get into prediction? Should we get in the schedule prediction? I know I just wasted about 25 minutes on all the stuff that came out of today. News, notes, captains, starting quarterback, potential injuries, all that good stuff. So now, do you guys want to roast me for my season prediction? So what I'm going to do now, we're going to transitioning to the actual meat of what we were going to be talking about today. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the entire schedule. Week 1 through week 18, we're going to talk about all the wins and losses, trap games, all that kind of stuff. I have the 49ers losing games, so that means you are not going to like me. That means you're not going to like the games that I chose that they lose to. Dude, these things are hard, man. I'm not a huge roster. Don Burr, you son of a gun. I'm not a big prediction guy. The reason why I'm not is because there's so many variables that happen from week 1 to week 18 now. That I always take these with a grain of salt, but it's what we're in the business of. It's what I think some of you guys what we should go through, and gives us a lot to talk about. So let's dive right in. Let's get into week 1. Week 1, the 49ers travel to Detroit. That is this Sunday. This Sunday, the 49ers are headed to Detroit to play the Lions for a 10 a.m. kickoff. I think all of us are feeling very confident, except Don Burr. All of us except Don Burr are feeling pretty confident that we're going to pull out a W against Detroit. And again, for a lot of reasons. Now, I will be the first to defend Detroit's offense. I think they have a better offense than what is perceived to be out there. But again, they still have Jared Goff at the helm, and I know Jared Goff well. I watched him all 4 years at Cal, or 3 years, or however long he played, and I know his tendencies. Also, being the Rams quarterback, and Goff's tendencies are that when you get pressure in his face, you rush him, you obstruct his passing lanes, whether it's with bodies or anything else. He has a hard time seeing the field. So I would imagine that the 49ers defensive line, that is amazingly stout, is going to come. And again, Detroit has a good O line to counter, but I think they're not going to be able to handle all those waves. I don't think they are. I don't think they're going to be able to handle Bosa. I don't think they're going to be handle D Ford, Samson Ebukam, all the guys that we have coming on the interior. I just don't. I think it's going to cause them problems. So as long as we can create one turnover, I think for this defense, I think it puts the 49ers in a really strong position to take the W for sure. For sure. So I think that is going to be a pretty, I don't want to say easy, because I transfer to the defense. Transfer to the defense. Who do they have on defense? Like, I believe they have Jamie Collins, Jeff Okuda. I I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to stop our offensive line. That's the biggest thing. Oh, I need a whiteboard. Yeah, you're right. I do. Um, I think the biggest thing with the Lions uh, is that we outmatch them from offense to defense. So I think it's going to be a situation where the 49ers just run the ball, 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 play action, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, play action, run the ball, play action, run the ball. And I'm not sure that the Lions' depth uh, on defense will be able to match what we're throwing out there. Um, so what are you talking about? So in regards to basically that whole situation, the matchups though I am looking forward to in this game is if Emmanuel Mosley, I talked about it earlier, if Emmanuel Mosley goes down and Lenore goes in to start in his place, I'm excited to watch that matchup between Amon-Ra St. Brown, rookie out of USC, versus Diamador Lenore, rookie out of Oregon, because those guys know each other well. So I'm excited to see that. But honestly, other than Tyrell Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown, these guys have been adding wide receivers off the streets. Khalif Raymond, uh, Trinity Benson, Kadero Hodge from the Browns. Like they're they are insanely thin at wide receiver. Um, and with this new transition that they're doing to more of an air raid system to fit Goff, if we stop their run game again, if we stop their run game, I think they're gonna have a hard time. I think they're gonna have a hard time. And of course, going over to the defensive side, Michael Brockers at DN, Alim McNeil, rookie at a nose tackle. I like him a lot. I do. But he's a rookie, so I don't know how well he's going to fare against a guy like Alex Mack. Um, you got Jamie Collins, Trey Flowers, just Alec Anzalone, just a bunch of. It's just not a good defense on paper. It's just really not, and I think that's where they're going to get exploited the most. And then once the 49ers start scoring, and then the offense has to switch gears from trying to run the ball and play keep away from the 49ers, that's when it becomes just a throttling. Sorry, Don. So I got week 1 versus Detroit as a W. So let's move to week 2. We move to week 2 against the Eagles. Sorry, Don. That's an L for you. And unfortunately, if that's an L for you, that's also you also lose $100 to the coach. So don't want that to happen. So let's get into the Eagles. So the 49ers travel. So they're going to go from Detroit to Philadelphia. They aren't going to come back to the Bay. They're going to make it a one big road trip. So the 49ers go from Detroit to Philadelphia. So these games are always potential trap games. Back-to-back away games, East Coast games starting at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which again, that throws off their entire clock. It could be a trap game. It could be a trap game, but I'm not ready to call that a trap game just yet because when I look at the roster, I just see a situation where they are pretty unproven on the offensive side of the ball in regards to Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, even Quez Watkins, all guys that I like. They're just unproven at this point. So, and then you look at the offensive line. I don't mind the right side of their offensive line. Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson. I think that's a pretty formidable offensive line. It's the left side. It's Isaac Sumalo and Jordan Maliata on as left tackle and left guard, where like again, we're gonna win a lot of games this year in the trenches. So that left side going against D Ford, Samson Ebukam, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for these offenses to get any footing against our defensive line. And that's how I'm seeing it. So I'm going trenches out. So I give the 49ers, of course, in the defenses versus offense category. Defense, I think, trumps the Eagles offense. And then we go over to the 4-3 defense by Detroit. It's better. It's definitely better. It's definitely a better unit than Detroit. In my opinion, again, I think Brandon Graham is still very serviceable defensive end. Fletcher Cox is still one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL. The Eagles got Derek Barnett, who is a former first round pick at defensive end from the Saints. So they got a lightweight, formidable defensive line. So that's going to be the one to watch is our offensive line versus their defensive line. Really excited to see that matchup because if we can run the ball in that group, then this game should be pretty easily in hand. Other than that, they still got guys like Darius Slay, Rodney McLeod, Anthony Harris, Steven Nelson, a bunch of guys kind of on the back end of their careers, at least in regards to the DB room. So I'm going to go ahead and give this another W to the 49ers. So we go 2-0 to start our road trip to start the season. Going from Detroit to Philly, we collect 2 dubs. Again, though, this could be a trap game. This could be an early trap game. It was one that I was messing with, but I was like, I can't do it. Again, you look at the lineups, you look at the matchups. I think our defense trumps their offense. Our offense is going to score points, but our defensive line versus their offensive line, I like our matchup there. So that's going to be that was a dub for me. So 2-0, fam. We're 2-0. Let's go. Let's keep it going. Then we come back home. Just hold on. We're going home. Going home. So Drake says what they got. What they got. Certified lover boy doesn't know what the vibes are. All he knows is we're coming for Green Bay. Now, this game has gone back and forth. Obviously, throughout the offseason, was Aaron Rodgers going to start? Was Aaron Rodgers going to be on our team? There's a little flirtation there during the draft, but he's staying put. Him and LaFleur going to year 2 together. I think that's going to be potent for their offense. One of the really, 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 really massive implications. One of the really massive implications of this game that changes, I think, a huge complexity versus 49ers versus Green Bay week 3. Their tackle is not playing. Bakhtiari is going to be out the first couple weeks of the year. And again, what do we keep focusing on? We've gone through 2 games so far. The thing that we have focused on is offensive line and defensive line play. We understand what our defense carries. And when you're throwing backups on the offensive line against guys that we know who are on this defense, it becomes extremely difficult. It becomes very hard to defend. So looking at that situation where I anticipate, again, they also don't have their all-pro starting center anymore, Corey Linsley. He's no longer gone. They now replace him with a rookie center, Josh Myers, who I like out of Ohio State. Thought he was a really good center. He's really smart, really cerebral. I think he's going to actually do pretty darn well for them. But you got Elton Jenkins now starting at left tackle, Lucas Patrick at left guard, Billy Turner at right tackle, Royce Newman at right guard. So their O-line is severely dinged up at the moment. So again, benefit 49ers right away. Just again, we go trenches out. I think that's how a lot of other teams kind of view the situation. I think that's how our team views a lot of this, and understanding that you can overwhelm an entire offense if their O-line can't block. So now, although you still have Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Robert Tonyan, who I think is going to have another really, really good year, You have Devontae Adams. You have guys like Alan Lazard, who I think is really solid. Marquez Valdez Scantling just needs to catch passes, and he would be a good wide receiver. Um, so they have good weapons. They have good skill players. They have arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but their offensive line is severely damaged at this point, which I think changes the entire complexion because we have seen go back to 2019. We played the Green Bay Packers twice. They could not stop our defensive line. Our defensive line destroyed them, and they couldn't do anything. They literally couldn't do anything. So again, edge 49ers in that regard. 49ers defense versus Green Bay Packers offense. And then we switch over to their other side. They still got guys like Jared Alexander. They added Adrian Amos. Darnell Savage is getting another year of experience. They have a decent secondary. They're still rolling out Zadarius Smith, but they got two unprovens at linebacker next to Zadarius Smith. And Preston Smith, of course, is pretty good as well. Kenny Clark. But I don't know. I don't know if it's enough. And again, this is going to be the first home game for the San Francisco 49ers. I was at that NFC Championship game against Green Bay, and how intense and how loud and the energy. I imagine it's going to be a similar type energy at Levi's when Green Bay shows up. So I just don't think, again, the O-line issues that Green Bay has, I don't know if they can overcome that. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a W to the 49ers. It was a close game. I had it as I think I had it 23-21. I had it really close. But I still think it's enough for the 49ers to, again, play ball control, keep contained of the ball. Oh, geez. Here you go, Don. There you go, Don. We know where Don's going after this. Oh, all right. Now this is where you guys are going to start to hate me. So far, I think you guys are happy. We're 3-0. 49ers are 3-0 on the season. We got dubs against Detroit, Philly, and Green Bay. I think you guys are happy so far. But now this is where all my loyal followers and subscribers, they start to turn on me, and they start smashing the dislike button and and reporting me to the authorities. So what I got, the 49ers have a week 4 matchup against Seattle at home at Levi Stadium. So I had to pick a loser somewhere, man. I had to pick a loser somewhere. And this one I like and feel more comfortable with. I feel a lot more comfortable losing this division game this early in the year. I still think, though, when we match up again, when Russ is when Russ is going, like, we can say as much as we want about the Seattle Seahawks. We can say as much as we want about all of them. When Russ is cooking, man, Russ is cooking. There's just we can't do a ton with that. And so I think this is just a perfect example. Again, we start out strong, 3 W's, and then we just get caught. We just get caught by Seattle. And I think all of us can at least understand it. Like, when Russ cooks, and he can catch us in those moments, especially early in the year. Especially we go back to last year, they were working really well early in the year. They actually fell off towards the end, remember? So I actually anticipate a similar situation where the Seahawks are going to come out firing early in the year, not just against us, but I think against everyone as a whole, especially with all the offseason issues with Russell Wilson. You get Chris Carson back. You got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. They added Dwayne Eskridge, a guy that I really like, especially coming out of the draft. I'm super mad at them because they took my guy, Dakota Shepley. They poached him from us. So trust me, I don't like I don't like putting this down as an L, but they did get better at guard. They added Gabe Jackson. They still got Ethan Posick at center, which I don't think is a terrible center. They just re-signed Dwayne Brown, who is a good tackle. Is a good tackle. Um, and they also added Gerald Everett at tight end, who I think is an upgrade over Will Dissly, who they had before. So I think that's an offense that could actually cook on us a little bit. I think it could. And so the fact that maybe we take an L here, I think it hurts, but I think we can look at it in the beginning of the year and be okay with it because we understand this is a marathon, not a sprint. And so we're going to have hiccups, and other teams are just going to play better than us at times. So I think Seattle is one of those teams that can do that. And we know that. We know that. So unfortunately, I have our first L of the year going to Seattle. That leaves us 3-1 to start the year, which then has us traveling to Arizona, our home away from home. So we're going back home for what we had last year. And this is where we get redemption on some division opponents. I really think that this is the year that 49ers sweep the Cardinals. I think it's time. I think it's time. I think it's finally here now, right in front of us. This is the year where we stop allowing Arizona to match our play, playing up to our level, playing down to their level. This is the year that we say, no, we are sweeping you. So easy. We've experienced that stadium. We've experienced playing out of Arizona. It's really going to feel like, I think, for these players, like a home away from home. Going back to Arizona, it's not going to be hard traveling. It's going to be very, very reminiscent of some of the things they went through last year. And I think that the 49ers come out and they put it on them. And where I think the matchup occurs, though, is our offense versus their defense. Um, you look at their defensive line, they added JJ Watt, right? That's nice. That is nice. But I would feel confident saying JJ Watt has potentially lost a step, maybe lost like a half a step. Um, he's on the opposite side of his career. And it doesn't mean he's not going to play well. It doesn't mean any of that. I just feel like he's kind of trending down. And then the guys next to him, they play a 3-4. So he'll be over the guard. So JJ Watt will be over Brunskill. He will be over Lincoln Tomlinson. So Brunskill, we do know he does typically tend to struggle with power a little bit more, but how you counteract that is outside zone motions and zones, wide receiver sweeps, all that stuff. You hit the outside, get them thinking you're beating them with speed, and then when you hit them with the inside run, you have a little better legs. You have more ground to gain on a player like that when they think you're trying to hit them outside all the time. So there is ways to scheme against it. They do have Chandler Jones, one of my favorite draft picks in the entire class. Zaven Collins. Zaven Collins is going to be good. Zaven Collins is going to be he's going to be a pain in our asses for a long time. Zaven Collins is really good, and we're not going to like playing against him. I can guarantee you that. And then we got Isaiah Simmons. So realistically, their linebacker core is it's young with Isaiah Simmons and Zaven Collins. But you throw Chandler Jones in there and Marcus Golden, who's been pretty damn solid for them. That's a pretty good linebacking core. It's a pretty damn good linebacking core. In regards to DBs, I got Buda Baker. We know Buda. I think Buda's pretty good. Even though we don't like him, I still think he's good. I'm always been a big fan of Robert Alford, southeastern Louisiana, Senior Bowl alum. I know Alford well, following him since his time uh, in Atlanta. I actually wouldn't have mind if the 49ers went after Alford, but he is now on Arizona. But this is, I think, more of just. I think we match up well. Of course, we know their offense. They have Kyler Murray, Chase Edmonds, DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, Christian Kirk, and they added Rondell Moore. Tight end, I don't think they're good at tight end at all. And defensive line, offensive line, they did get better. They got better on offensive line. But I think this is more of just a situation where it's like we out scheme. This is an out coaching game. This is a game where I don't think Cliff Kingsbury can sniff Kyle Shanahan or D'Amico Ryans for that matter. I think D'Amico Ryans is going to give Cliff Kingsbury a lot of trouble. So I think this game comes down to coaching. I think we match up well. I think they have a good team. I think they have a good roster. Maybe one of the more complete rosters we'll come up against this year, but I think the difference is coaching. And so I take the 49ers with a W over Arizona as we head into our bye. So if the 49ers are heading into the bye and they are 4-1, I think we feel pretty confident about that. I think we feel pretty good. I think we'd be all right. I think we'd be very happy with that, even with a loss to Seattle, which would damper our moods a bit, but I think we're okay. I think we're happy. I think we're like that trajectory. And if we're 4-1, that probably means Jimmy Garoppolo is still the starting quarterback. Who knows? None of this projection. This all basically is as if Jimmy is starting the whole year. So that's one of the reasons why I don't like projections too much, is because there's so many variables. But it is what it is. So that leads us into week 7. Prime time Sunday night football against the Colts. I'm excited about this game. When the schedule came out, my eyes went to this game first. It's just I like the Colts as a team, as a roster. I think that they are good, and I think they are going to give us some fits. Actually, I think Carson Wentz is better than a lot of people want to give him credit for. I think they have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Again, we've been looking at the trenches and the matchups and all that kind of stuff. All that good stuff. Jonathan Taylor at running back, Michael Pittman, second-year wide receiver, really solid. Zach Pascal is another guy. They do have another rookie wide receiver, Strachan. I don't know how to say his name. He's a guy that we should be looking out for. I think it's like 6'5". Could be a fantasy waiver wire ad later in the year. But he's got some talent. And then it's also he's back. Go away. It's also the DeForest Buckner return game. So we get DeForest Buckner back. Back at Levi's, but of course he's on the other team. He's not wearing red and gold anymore. But for the most part, they have a pretty young, solid defense led by Darius Leonard. But I still think the 49ers can take advantage of this defensive unit by using play action and things like that. If they can implement the zone read and start getting more 11-on-11 football, especially in a game like this, I like the 49ers to come out with a win. I think the difference maker, too, helps that this game is in Levi's. If it was in Indianapolis, I probably would have switched it. But I think that the energy of the stadium will help these guys rally up and get this W. So I got a W against the Colts. And then this is going to be another one where you guys hate me. I have this as our first trap game. So the 49ers travel to Chicago After this big Sunday night game, they travel to Chicago for a 10 a.m. game. So these games where they have to travel off of a big game, a primetime game, it's an early morning window. Just a team like Chicago that you kind of feel like you have the upper hand on, but they're sneaky talented and sneaky kind of just in there in the wings. The only problem for the most part with Chicago is they can't get their dang quarterback situation right. They can't. So trap game number one is the Chicago Bears. I have the 49ers taking an L to the Chicago Bears as a trap game. Like I said, there's a trap game every year. We go back to 2019. We go back to that insanely magical year where they won a ton of games. Guess what team they lost to? They lost to the Falcons. The 49ers had no business losing to the Falcons, not even close. But they did, because guess what? They came out flat. They came out not ready. And the Falcons were, and they lost as a result. So that's what I'm talking about trap games, especially coming after a big primetime game and traveling to the East Coast window and playing a 10 a.m. game. Feels like a trap game. And at this point, it could be Justin Fields starting. So if Justin Fields starting, you guys know exactly how I feel about Justin Fields. You know exactly how I feel about Justin Fields. Then the weapons really come alive for Chicago, with Komet, with Jimmy Graham, with Montgomery, with Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney. Don't sleep on Darnell Mooney, man. I got Darnell Mooney stonks to the moon, especially when what's his name, Justin Fields gets in. So I imagine Fields will be starting at this point. So Fields plus their weapons, plus they still have a good defense. Again, they got Khalil Mack. They still got some good guys on the defense. It's a trap game. I'm calling it a trap. It's a trap. It's a loss. But it's okay, because at this point, the 49ers are 5-2. They are 5-2. I feel pretty good about that. And guess what? We good old friends, Arizona Cardinals, come back to town. And guess what? You're right. And Red Eye, you're right. The Bears O-line sucks. The Bears O-line sucks. It really does. But like I said, it's a combination of Justin Fields and it being a trap game, because you never know. It's any given Sunday. Any given Sunday, if the 49ers are going up to Chicago 5-1 at this point, clearly headed to be a playoff team, it could be a huge trap game. It could be a huge trap game at Chicago. Whole stadium's ready to go. Maybe Justin Fields been balling out and doing all this stuff. It could absolutely be a trap game. But I understand the thought process. But I had to pick one trap game. And so that's the one I picked. I get it, though. Their online does suck. It really does. But I had to pick a trap game. I try to pick two trap games in my predictions, because there's going to be at least two games that we lose that on paper we were like, we're never losing that game. But it happens every year. It happens every year, and they look like the juicy trap game for me. So moving into week 9, we're 5-2 at this point. Now we're angry. I wouldn't call the Titans a trap game, because the Titans are good. It's a combination of. We'll get there. But, and I'm not saying it's going to be like a crazy loss, but again, you're playing away. Let's say Fields catch fire. Anything could happen. You guys know I like Fields. Week 9, come back around. Arizona comes to Levi's. They're pissed. They just got trapped by the Jim Nagy led, or it's not Jim Nagy. I'm thinking of, that's the Senior Bowl guy, but the Nagy led offense. And so they come back and they just whoop the Cardinals. I think it sets up the momentum really nicely, especially too if they were to lose against Chicago, to come back extremely focused against the Cardinals. And this is where we get our first division sweep. So this is where we sweep the Cardinals, and now we're 6-2. I think at 6-2, with the division sweep over the Arizona Cardinals, we're one game behind Seattle, but we've already swept Arizona. I think we're feeling okay, especially at 6-2. I think we're feeling okay. So then we got another division opponent. And that is going to be the Rams. And this is a massive game. This is now, again, we have one loss in division against Seattle. We just swept the Cardinals. And we now have Matthew Stafford for the first time. We're going to be seeing him on Monday Night Football at Levi's. This one to me feels like a W. It feels like a W. Like I said, too, especially after a trap game. I want the 49ers to go through a trap game within the first at least quarter of maybe first 2 quarters of the year. If the 49ers can go through a trap game early where they're not showing up, they don't have their best stuff, and they lose to a lesser team, there's nothing like losing to a lesser team to help kind of refocus you, kind of re-energize you, re-get you aligned. And so after the trap against Chicago, I got 2 W's in division. So we complete the sweep against Arizona Cardinals, and then on prime time, we go and just lay a licking on the Rams. I think the Rams are going to struggle a little bit if they can't get Darrell Henderson going. If they can't get Henderson going or Sony Michel going, I'm more scared of Darrell Henderson than I am Sony Michel. But if they can't get either one of those running backs going, I think it's going to be a lot harder for the Rams to compete with us. So I really think they need to get their run game going to be able to get the entire offense going as it needs to be. As again, I think part of the issues of why Goff didn't work. They couldn't get the run game going, and then once they couldn't get the run game going, Goff couldn't create off of that. So I want to use that same kind of thought process with the Rams. I want to demolish the Rams in that Monday Night Football game and kind of get the mojo back. So that puts the 49ers at 7-2 through week 10. Now, I know you guys don't like the losses that I picked, which is absolutely fine. And like I said, I expected you not to like them. But taking a step back, and we are now 10 weeks into the year. We have now swept Arizona. We have one win versus the Rams and one L versus the Seattle Seahawks. I think we could wrap our hands around that. I think we could be like, yeah, that we could see that being a potential outcome. Like we could see that happening. Might not be what we exactly want to happen, but it absolutely can be a potential outcome. So that's where I have us right now through 10 weeks, 7-2, one loss versus Seattle, and our first trap game of the year against Chicago. And that turns into our first division sweep against AZ, and then whooping the Rams in prime time. Just it has to be. I want it to be. I want it to be that. So that's where we're at as we head into the last 8 games of the year. Yeah, I said Chi-Town. I told you I'm picking traps. I got to pick at least two trap games a season because again, we're going to lose to teams that we didn't anticipate losing. That's how it works. I know you don't have to like it. I get it. So then I have us going to Jacksonville. Oh no. Is this where it happens again? Uh-oh. They're going to be mad at me again. No, I'm joking. I had this one as a W. I like Trevor Lawrence a lot. I do. I think he's a really good quarterback. I think they're too far away right now to, especially if the 49ers are 7-2 at this point. That means we're clicking. That means our offense is working. That means our defense is working. There's no way you lose that game, even though it is a potential trap. Again, what makes it a trap game is location and timing. It's a 10 a.m. Eastern game in Florida. So those are the prerequisites for a trap game, but they don't get trapped here. They escape with the dub. Again, they lost. Which running back did they just lose? They lost Travis Etienne. Really, really good back, in my opinion. Again, he's a rookie. So they got him, but they still got Robinson there. They got Laviska Chenault. Chenault is a savage. I think him and Trevor Lawrence are going to have a great rapport. They still got guys like DJ Chark. Marvin Jones has been balling for them in preseason. Don't sleep on Marvin Jones. But I think, again, the advantage comes in the trenches. 49ers defensive line just takes care of that offensive line. And so the 49ers come away. I mean, they're 8-2. I know the 49ers went 8-0 in 2019, but I think all things considered, I think 8-2 feels pretty good. I think 8-2 feels pretty good at this point. So then we travel, or I'm sorry, Minnesota travels back to here. We remember last time Kirk Cousins came in here. Again, they didn't have Justin Jefferson. They didn't, but I believe they had Diggs, right? They had Diggs in 2019. I can't remember. They have Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is arguably one of the best. Arguably one of the best running backs in the league. They have kind of upgraded their offensive line. They actually just paid their right tackle or left tackle. I can't remember which side he plays on. And they also drafted one in the first round. So they have invested in their offensive line. They have good skill positions everywhere. They just traded for Herndon from New York. Herndon is a talented player. He just never landed in New York, just never worked out, unfortunately. But he was traded to the Vikings. He's a very talented tight end. And no, they do not have Diggs. They have Justin Jefferson, they have Thielen, and some other guys. So that being said, I think this is going to be a good game. But I also kind of feel like this is just one of those games where this is where it gets dicey. Because what if we are hurt? This is where the variables come into play. Like, what if we're hurt in our secondary? What if maybe Verrett's dinged up? What if Mosley's dinged up? And we're going up against Justin Jefferson. We're going up against Adam Thielen. Amir Smith-Marset is another guy that I really like as a rookie who could potentially be coming on around that time. So could be dicey. Again, variables. I don't know who's going to be healthy. I don't know who's going to be available at this time in the year. This is where it's just literally a crapshoot because we're operating off the same roster that we had week 1 as we have now in week 12. So it becomes a little bit more difficult. But you look at the defense, they still have Danielle Hunter, Dalvin Tomlinson on the D line, Eric Kendricks and Anthony Barr, 2 really solid linebackers. They added Patrick Peterson. They still have Harrison Smith, one of the best safeties in the league. So they still have a decent defense. But I still think, again, the opportunity comes for the offensive line. I like Garrett Bradbury a lot. He's one of my favorite O-line prospects coming out of his class. But this absolutely could be a trap, and it could be a trap at home because we know that this offense can be potent and it could turn quick. And again, we don't know where the health of our defense is at this time because we're headed into week 1. We're already down a cornerback. So who knows where we're at heading into this time. I actually have this as a close loss at home. So, although it hurts to lose, especially to the Vikings, especially after we handled them back in 2019 and just ran the ball down their throats, this is where I worry about our health. This is where I start worrying about the war of attrition. Who's available at this time? Are we dinged up in that secondary? Because if I think our secondary is a little dinged up. Justin Jefferson's that good. I think Herndon adds another layer of complexity to that offense. Again, Dalvin Cook is no joke. Dalvin Cook is a savage, and so if that offense gets working and our defense is hurt, it's just I don't know. Trap game. Trap game. I told you. I picked two. I picked two every year. That's my trap game. I got one trap game against Seattle, one against the Vikings. Do I think on paper we should win that game? Absolutely. But it's one of those variables that I throw up in the air that I can't predict at this time. And so we're not going to be perfect. And that's okay. But again, they take the trap game loss. They're pissed. We lost to the freaking Vikings. We lost to Kirk Cousins. What the hell, man? What is going on? Now we're getting a little upset. We're like, what the heck is going on? As we head to Seattle, oh God, we go up to Seattle. We're coming off a loss against the Vikings, and it's another primetime game against Seattle in Seattle, and we're like, oh, we got the loss at home to Seattle, right? But this is where the tide starts to turn with the division because this is a playoff game, in my opinion. We're at week 13. The 49ers are 8-3 at this point, going into Seattle into the end of their schedule. I think the 49ers go, and this is where, again, a statement win to kind of get the momentum going in the right direction into the playoffs. And I think they go into Seattle, another legendary game, another game of insane back and forth, really, really close. But we go into their home. We go into Seattle and we get another W. And this is where we start to see, I think, the shift. I think Seattle has kind of run the division for better or worse. I think they have run the division for better or worse. But I think this game, week 13 at Seattle, is where we see the tide change. And we see the 49ers just completely just take again, they still have a good record and they're coming off a loss in my projection. And they just take it to Seattle. It's just like, it's playoff time. It's go time. It's Seattle time. They just kick it up a notch and just we take it to Seattle in Seattle, get the dub. That is now a 9-3 record. We are at this point swept the Cardinals and we have beaten the Rams in our first matchup. So I like the way. So now, because we're getting towards the end of the season, we're more just going off of momentum and flow because like I said, there's so many variables at this point in the year that we cannot project in regards to injuries for our team or other teams that will change the complete complexity of what we're talking about today. So more now we're just kind of funneling into more matchup plus momentum from the week before because we know once it gets to this part of the season, you're running on momentum, a lot of it. If you go back to the 2019 year and remember how we pushed through that back half of the 2019 season, a lot of that was from momentum. So as we push through, we get the W at Seattle, then we travel to the Bengals on a short week. And let's see, right? No, it's Sunday Night Football. playing on the 12th in Cincinnati, another 10 a.m. slot, um, where this could be another trap game. This could absolutely be another trap game. Again, what constitutes a trap game is location, timing, and playing a team that is worse than you, and you not showing up, especially after a high energy game against Seattle at Seattle. It could be, but I don't because I already picked my two. So this one is a L, or I'm sorry, a W against the Bengals. I think the Bengals have a really young, talented roster. I think Joe Burrow, though, could struggle a little bit from what we've seen from Jimmy Garoppolo. Coming back from his ACL injury, I think he could be a little nervous of it, a little hesitant to really lean into it and put a lot into that foot or into that leg, but they still have a good team. You look at Joe Mixon at running back, he's still 24, 25 years old. Um, you got Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. That's one of the younger, better wide receiver groups in the entire league. They're going to get Uzama back at tight end. Their O line is a little shaky, which might be where we see a lot of the penetration coming from our defense. What is the one injury that I feel could be disastrous for us? Oof. I think the one injury that could be disastrous for us, it either Trent Williams. I think either Trent Williams or I think someone else said it, Verrett. And the reason why I say either Trent or Verrett is because of their backups, because that's the problem. It's like when you lose a guy, you got to start looking at the depth behind them. And we're already a bit concerned with depth there. I'm less concerned about Alex Mack because Brunskill would move back over to center. And then you would be able to kind of hide Tom Compton at right guard if you had to, or maybe Jalen Moore at this point if they felt more comfortable with that. But I think they put Tom Compton there. But losing Trent, I know Jalen Moore played pretty well in preseason. I don't know, dude. That's a hard question. That's a hard question. I think, dude, that's a hard question. I think, but Alex Mack too. That would be a big loss to lose Alex Mack. I think it'd be a big loss to lose one of our receivers. I mean, I know we got some guys on the back end that do pretty well, but that would suck. That would suck. Big J, appreciate you, man. Big J says, appreciate all you're doing and respect the time and effort you put into your show. I appreciate that, Jay. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for sticking through this thing. Again, we're hour 18 in. Appreciate you guys, as always. All that good stuff. Awesome. Appreciate the super chat big time. Really do. Thanks, Jay. Dang it, Sean, you got me all twisted up. No, I'm just kidding. That's just it's a deep question. It's a deep question because we got to think about, right, who's behind these guys, who's coming up. I would say it would have to be a injury to the offensive line or secondary. It's kind of where I'm at right now, just because the depth behind them, the drop off is so much more significant. I think in those areas. I don't know. That's a tough one though. That was a good question. It's a tough one. All right. So where are we at? We're 10-3. So again, we're 10-3. I think we're feeling really good about that. And so then we get into week 15 against the Falcons. I don't think the Falcons are ready yet. Why is it acting like I didn't pull this up? It's right there. Thank you, Jay. I don't think the Falcons are quite there yet. I mean, they could completely turn it around. I think the Falcons have the potential to be kind of like one of those teams that had a really bad year, but they somehow flip it and have a decent year. Although I know it's a lot harder with no Julio Jones, but they did add Kyle Pitts, and Ridley is still really good wide receiver. The problem is they don't have a running back. Um, they have their third running back is Wayne Gallman. We know Wayne Gallman. He couldn't make our roster, and right now he's their third string running back on their active roster. So I think that might be a big difference. I think they're going to have a real hard time running the football this year, and I just don't think they match up well with us. And I think we kind of win in almost every category against the Falcons. Um, so then that has us at 11-3. I think 49er fans are if we're 11-3 at this point, we're ecstatic. We're having a great time. And then the Titans come through. I think pretty much almost every fan might have this as an L, just because this is a situation where now we're looking at a short week. This is Thursday night football. It's Thursday night football at Tennessee. So they're having to travel from the Bay Area to Tennessee on a short week against a playoff contending team, against one of the better teams in the NFL, against one of the teams that's constructed a lot like us. Oh my gosh, it's back. It's back. Now it's gone. So again, like this is going to be a hard one. I don't consider this a trap because without the short week and without the travel, this still would have been a really tough game. It still would have been a really tough game that I would have had a hard time going either way because again they're very similar to us and how they run the football. They're a run first team. How Tannehill operates play action, the weapons that they now have with Julio Jones and AJ Brown. They're a good team, and they've added on defense as well. They've done a pretty solid job. I like how they drafted. I like what they've done on defense. So it already would have been a tough game if it wasn't on a short week and we weren't traveling to Tennessee. But guess what? We are. And that's the unfortunate nature of it. And although it's going to be a great Thursday night football game, they're going to get great ratings and all that crap. It's not the best. Like why would you travel? Why would you schedule a team on a short week to travel cross country? Like if you're playing Thursday night football games, it should be teams that are like relatively close to each other, in my opinion. Like because you've heard what I've talked about with the trap games. Like the big thing for me in trap games is location and timing. Not, and the fact that they're lower level players or lower level teams. And the big indicator for me is again time and location. So that's a hard one. If the 49ers come out to win against Tennessee Titans, oh, we're hyped. We're hyped. But I think we could all at least feel comfortable as a group in the chat that we might not come away with that victory. So although we went on a really solid run ever since the Vikings game, we are going to, unfortunately, based on all the scenarios that I talked about, we're going to drop to 11-4 at that point. But that's okay. Again, 11-4. I'm happy. You should be happy. You might not be happy with the teams that I picked that we lost to, but you should be happy with the overall record. And like I said, if we look at the division up until this point, we've swept the Cardinals. We are one game up on the Rams, and we have split with Seattle. So that means we're right there at the top in our division, which means we're 100% vying for a playoff spot at 11-4 and based how we move through this division. So let's round it out. This shouldn't take too long, so I'll move right through it. It's a dub against the Texans. I think the Texans might be the worst team in the NFL right now. They might. They might be the worst team in the NFL. And that's all it's going to take. That's a victory. And they're coming here. They're coming to us. So I don't think that is too much to debate. Their roster is not good. Not good. And then the Rams show up. We go to LA. Now, this one could go either way. This one could literally go either way. Again, it's at their home location, although we're still staying in division, or we're still staying in California. And we go down to LA for the last game of the year. So as we sit right now, we are 12-4. We're 12-4, and this could very well be a playoff game. Essentially, it could be the difference between a wild card spot. It could be the difference between first in division or second in division or third in division. Because I think there's a really good chance that 3 teams make it from the NFC West, potentially all 4. It all depends. But we go down to LA. And it's a tough game. I guarantee this will be flexed to be a primetime game. Guarantee it gets flexed to be a primetime game. All eyes on this game. All eyes on the division. All eyes on where the playoff seeding is going to be. All of it. All of it. But guess what? It's LA. It's LA. We're in LA. Big J beat me to it. That means 49er fans are going to be tough out in LA. Like, I think there are more 49er fans in LA than Rams fans right now. It might take a generation or so for the fandom to swap. But as of right now, LA is 49ers territory still, I think, compared to the Rams. So I think it's going to be, like Big J said, LA's our second home. You should have seen the Chargers game. So there's going to be red all in those stands. There's going to be a lot of support, and there's going to be a lot on the line for this game. So I have the 49ers coming in, getting the dub over the Rams at home. Whoa. To be able to launch this team into the playoffs with really nice seeding. Again, that has us at 13-4. Our overall record right now that I have is 13-4. But I would say that it could falter 2 games the opposite way. Like, if we ended up 11-6, I think that is a likely outcome. If we ended up at 12-5, I think that could also be a likely outcome. Also 13-4. 13-4 is clearly the optimistic outcome. That's the outcome that we stay healthy. We see the trenches perform like we anticipate them to perform, meaning dominance on the defensive line front on our side. Our O-line group staying healthy and building a rapport like we haven't seen before, maybe closely resembling 2019 when we had Weston Richburg in there at center and we were running everywhere. So that's what 13-4 looks like. That's 13-4 is everyone's healthy. Everyone, we like literally somehow get through the season without losing any starters, and we come out 13-4. But like I said, I think the more realistic range of outcomes and where we really land and where it really hits is probably between we win 11 and 12 games. I think that feels safe. But because I think we understand, we know there's going to be some injuries. There's going to be something weird that goes on, something that pops up, whatever. So for the sake of this projection, I of course have to err on the side of best case scenario, right? Because there are multiple scenarios we can go through. That's why projections are projections. So for me to project this, I'm projecting through the best case scenario possible. And so best case scenario possible, I think, has us at 13-4. Mid-level exception, like I said, 11-12. Lower end, we're looking at 9-10 wins. I think the more realistic outcome for the 49ers is between mid and high. I think we're more mid to high. I think more realistically is right in the middle of mid to high, which might be 12 games, might be 11 games. I think that's our sweet spot, but it is what it is. I think there are a lot of favorable matchups on this schedule. I think there are the way that it's sparsed out between quote unquote teams that might not be as good as us, I think benefits us. It gets a little dicey there at the end though, with location and all that kind of stuff. Um, so that's what I have. I got 13-4. What do you guys have? Let me hear what your rankings are or what your projection, your 49ers 2021 projection win loss total. I'm interested to hear what you guys have. I'll pull it up on the screen once you drop it in the chat. You got mine. I got 13-4. What do you guys got? What's your record predictions? Are you guys more realistic than I am? Are you guys more thinking level-headedly? Are you thinking more optimistically? Oh, so here we go. Well, Brian, we play 17 games now. So we got a 15-2. Ooh, so we're ultra optimistic. We have 14-3 or 13-4. Okay, we're on par there. The Centennial, he says 10-7 is the floor, 13-4 is the top. Perfect way to put it. And I think that's a great way for all of us to kind of work through this, right? I think you have the floor and you have the ceiling and you got the mid, right? And if we hit mid, about 12 wins, 11 wins, I think we're okay there. NVM has us at 11-6. We got another 14-3 from TriStar. Alejandro has us at 14-3. There we go. Brian gets us back with the 14-3. Chasing Gold is 12-5. Oh, Big J says we also get Jeff Wilson back. Two QB is going to help tremendously. Teams got to prepare for two and not just one QB. Is a good point. We're going 14-3 or 13-4. Let's go. We're hearing the grower. We see you. He's saying 14-3 is probable. Red Eye, see you getting us at 12-5, which I think is a very respectable projection. Very respectable. Oh, this one is spicy by Joshua. 15-2, no division losses. That would be my favorite outcome. If the 49ers could sweep the entire division, that would be my absolute favorite outcome of this entire situation. I think that would be fuego. If the 49ers went 15-2, no division losses, woo! Niners will lose against the Bucs in the playoffs. Nah. I don't want to think that too far ahead. I want to get to the playoffs first. Only ones I see us losing to are the Seahawks once, Cards once, possibly Atlanta. Yep, that would be awesome. Alyssa got a 17-0. She said, we ain't losing a damn thing. We don't take L's. Dubs only. That's what Alyssa said. Alyssa said, dubs only. We don't lose around here. What are you talking about? Shout out, Alyssa. We see you. I'm not from Oregon. This is it's Lenore. Uh, I follow Lenore and I follow each other on Instagram. A little DM work, a little action in the DMs. Got a game issued jersey from Diamador Lenore, who might be our starting cornerback week 1. Anyway, we get Tarvarius Moore back this season, I think he's coming back. They would have put him on IR if he wasn't. He's on PUP, so I think he's coming back 100%. Zach Norman says 11-6 if healthy, maybe 13-4. I agree. I think that's a really reasonable range to work within. Joshua's calling out Titans and another trap game as the losses. Donnie says the Bucks won't know what to do with our D line. They got a good O line. They do. Got a good center, good tackle. I think they got a good guard or two. So they got a good offensive line. Can't discredit that. Oh, Massachusetts checking in. Appreciate you, Donnie Woods. Thank you for watching. Thank you guys for watching, man. I know it's a long show. You know me. You know if I get going on some kind of topic, it's probably going to be like a 2-hour show. So I appreciate you guys sitting with me. I'm definitely not going to be your quick hitter. I'm not hitting your quick hitter. We're going through all the nuance on this channel. One knee toe. 13-4. Possible losses to Indy, Seattle, Tennessee, and a surprise L to Arizona. I could see that. I'm willing us to a sweep over Arizona. Arizona might be the best team to match us from a roster standpoint, like roster to roster, peer comparison. They might be the best to match up. But like I said, the winners come from the coaching. When you got two good rosters like that, when you got two really strong rosters, then I look to who's pulling the strings, who's putting them in position to make plays, who's calling everything. I have zero faith in Cliff Kingsbury. I would not be shocked to see Cliff Kingsbury get fired this year. So that's why I have a sweep in AZ, or at least willing us to sweep AZ, because I think the difference comes from coaching. Shanahan, and they've for whatever reason been able to get us the better of us sometimes in the past. And I want that to end. I just want it to end. So I'm speaking it into existence at this point. Although they very well could do that. Oh, this might be a good one. Sean, great content idea. Great content idea by Sean. He says, bro, you should do an NFC West breakdown, win-loss projections. I like that. I might actually write that down. Sean stays coming with fire questions and great ideas. We see you, Sean. I'm literally writing it down right now. NFC West breakdown. Dope. I like that idea. Because you know the vibes. Like, it doesn't matter what we like. It matters what we do in the division first. It matters what we do in the division first. It really does. Because we win the division and we lose the rest of our regular season games, we're still in the playoffs. So the division matters first, in my opinion. 100%. Yeah, Hopkins is top 3 wide receiver in the entire league. DeAndre Hopkins has been my favorite wide receiver since he stepped into the league out of Clemson. DeAndre Hopkins is the reason why I'm a closet Clemson fan. I love DeAndre Hopkins. I hate that he's on Arizona. Absolutely hate that he's on Arizona. But DeAndre Hopkins, he gets all the respect in the world from me. Literally, probably top 5 player for me in the entire league. James Sparrow says, when I moved to Oregon, I couldn't believe the amount of Seahawks fans. It has kind of died down now because they were bandwagons. Of course. We knew that. We knew that. Adam says, okay, F it. 16-1, lost to Tennessee. Vibes. Let's go. Let's go. All right, cool. How about this? Before I take off and we break for the day, Sean had a really good idea for NFC West breakdown. What content would you guys like to see before Sunday? Probably do a full game breakdown, right? Week 1 preview. Might do that on like a Saturday, maybe Friday. But is there any other content? I know Sean came with a great idea. NFC West breakdown predictions. That'll be nice. But I'm open to ideas. I typically would turn it over best, worst to first. Division breakdown. Yeah, I think a division breakdown might be in order. Definitely might be in order. So typically I do questions at the end, but we are an hour 40 in. Again, this was a long episode. We did all the updates at the beginning. If you're just joining us, we have all the updates at the front end of the video of what happened in today's practice, all that good stuff. And then, of course, we have been talking a big portion of this episode about the roster predictions. So shout out to all you guys. I mean, I see we've been hanging out there around like 80, 70, 90, kind of going back and forth. Again, these are longer videos. So I appreciate, and I see all you guys have been sticking around the whole time. My squad, I got to come up with a name with the squad, because the squads keep showing up. I even had the squad have my back yesterday on IG when I got raided by a bunch of weirdos in the comments. Squad have my back. I saw you guys. So we got to come up with a name. We got to come up with something, man. We got to come up with something. Sourdough Squad. Oh, with the first one. He hit it with the first one. I think that might be a potential winner, and we haven't even seen any other potential. The Sourdough Squad. Oh my gosh, that is good. I might have to write that one down. I am writing it down. Pen is going to paper. The Sourdough Squad. Oh my goodness. I like that. I don't know if you guys like that, but I kind of like that. Of course, the story behind that is Sourdough Sam is our mascot. Oh God, it's back. It's back. Block. 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 Is it blocked? Man, what is that? That's weird. The story behind that is Sourdough Sam looks like my dad. Like literally, Sourdough Sam looks like we are related. Like literally looks like he could be my dad. So I have developed the nickname Sourdough Brad. Of course, Sourdough Sam's a mascot, Sourdough Brad. So the Sourdough Squad. I like the Sourdough Squad. Others might not get it. If they're not in on the joke, they're probably like, what are we talking about? But if you're a real one who's been around, Sourdough Squad, we might have to run that through future testing, because I like it. I think that was a good first start. And that was from Joshua. We see you, Joshua. Let's go, Sourdough Squad. That will be our beta name. That will be our beta name until maybe we come up with another name that strikes our fancy or something else. I like the Sourdough Squad. Sourdough Squad sounds like it could be a whole bunch of different things. It could be a whole bunch of different things. But it ties in with the brand. ties in with all of it. I might like that. I might have to get some sourdough squad shirts going. Ooh, we might have to get some sourdough squad shirts going. Dude, I could see the sourdough squad shirts already. Oh my goodness. Joshua, you might have done it. You might have done it, Joshua. I like that. We're gonna, like I said though, we're gonna beta test it. But so far, we're getting good response. We're getting good response, Joshua. Let's go. I mean, it might be. Justin doesn't like it. Justin doesn't like it, but some of the other homies do. Some of the other homies do. Let's go. I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Sourdough squad. We deep the sourdough squad pulling through. Let's go. Yeah, big shout out to you guys though. Like I said, you guys have been, this has been a short time we've been doing this, but you're already making it feel like a community and all that stuff. So I'm having a blast, man. I think the Wi-Fi did okay today. I'm not sure. We'll have to run it back, do all that good stuff. We'll see. But I appreciate you guys as always. Sourdough Squad is in beta right now. I might have to throw it on a poll on Instagram. Let's get more eyes on it. But Joshua, you might have came up with something. On Instagram, they know me as Sourdough Brad. So they might like it a lot. Um, like I said, again, we're a little newer on YouTube in this community. So again, appreciate all you guys and all that stuff. This has been a lot of fun. Much improved today on the Wi-Fi. Thank goodness. IG is where the haters live 100%. And I might pop in to say hi today. Well, that makes a ton of sense. Why Joshua Kaiser came up with Sourdough Squad. Oh man, that's good. But if I do pop on to IG later today, which I might, love to have you guys in there. Coming, we're going to war. You know the vibes. Hey, we're there to talk football, but if anyone wants to come down our road, we're not going to back down. So we don't care about anything else other than talking football, but you know the vibes. You know how it be. So let's go. Let's call it a day. We got through it. You guys have been great as always. We got a potential nickname for the squad. Sourdough Squad. I think we're on to something. Good job, Joshua. Tomorrow we'll be back. Haven't decided yet totally of what I want to do for tomorrow's content. Yeah, let's go. It's happening. Let's go. Again, you guys are a part of this show. Like, it's not just me. Like, we're clearly in this together. The Sourdough Squad coming in tough. Appreciate you, James, as always, stopping in. Yes, my Uso, likely same time tomorrow. That I think that 1:30, 2:30 window is working pretty nice right now. So it might be the same time tomorrow. Hopefully see the Sourdough Squad back in full force. Hey, if we hop on tomorrow and the squad shows up tomorrow, you guys might need to flood the chat with the Sourdough Squad so we can make sure we get everyone else up to speed. Because I'm gonna go get a poll up on Instagram, and we might get this thing rolling in the right direction. But appreciate you guys. Be back tomorrow as always. We're gonna keep this pace throughout the year, throughout the season. Of course, this time during the year, we'll be breaking down film, we'll be breaking down actual plays, things like that. We'll be back. But I appreciate you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Hashtag Sourdough Squad in the building. Let's go. I'll see all my Sourdough Squatters tomorrow. Oh, might have. Hey, so I'll let the sourdough squad know. I got an extra one of these hats. I'll let the sourdough squatters know first. I got an extra one of these hats. So I haven't talked to my guy yet, but I might do a giveaway. I might do a giveaway. Sourdough squatters might be the first ones to get that. We'll see. We'll see. But as always, appreciate you guys. I will see you tomorrow.